What's up, fam? We're back for another episode.
I'm dying.
We're going at it at 110%.
I just want 5 minutes of happiness, please. Just give me 5 minutes.
And they scored! They did it!
Left.
What the hell was that?
Oh, yeah!
What the fuck are you talking about?
What is up, fam? We are back for another episode of the Weekly Roundup. I'm your host, as always, Steve. Be joined by a guest co-host this afternoon, this evening, this morning, wherever you're following us from. Phil, give a quick intro. Let the people know who you are.
What's up, everybody? Everybody knows me, Beard of Knowledge on Twitter, host of Trending for Four Quarters and Fairway to Heaven. Two great shows over on DSM Media. Check us out at DSM_media. You know, when my boy Scott or Steve here, said, come on, HB. I'm like, he's been asking me for weeks, months to come on. Now here I got a special. We got a special guest below. Once I heard this, I'm like, dude, I'm leaving work early. I can't miss out on this opportunity here tonight.
Yeah, we're gonna have a fun one, and we're gonna get into that in a minute. As always, all our shows here for the Weekly Roundup is brought to you by XBill Realty. If you're looking to buy or sell a home, you're looking to change a career in brokerage, contact Alan and Foy of XBill Realty at LLC. Call 302-682-8820 or visit him at alanfoy@expillrealty.com. Make sure you're checking them out, fam. For real, checking them out. Gotta check them out. But as far as tonight's poll questions, get into that in a second. Our first guest for this afternoon, as you said, Phil's pumped about this one. Buddy, kind of give the fam a little background, who you are, and and kind of like how you got into the NFL as well. Like, what's your background, kind of in the NFL and in life?
Sure. Well, first and foremost, gentlemen, appreciate you extending the offer for, me to, come on, chat with you, here this evening, or like Phil said, morning, just all depends, a part of the universe, you're in right now. But, so my name is Buddy Walters. I am actually the nephew of late the NFL head coach and defensive mastermind Buddy Ryan. If you ever heard of the 46 defense, that's my uncle. My cousins are Rex and Rob Ryan, and I tell people, don't judge me based off of them, because some people love Rex, some people love Rob. Others not so much. Listen, same thing goes, my uncle, if you were a Mike Ditka fan, you probably don't like Buddy Ryan. And all you got to do is go to YouTube and look up the famous, fist fight on the sidelines. But I'm blessed to, be able to, come from that background. I myself, worked in the National Football League. I worked for NFL football operations out of Commissioner Goodell's office for just shy of 10 years. Went on to then work for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And that was something I kind of stumbled into when I left, football ops. Left there because, my son's in high school, son playing high school football, and wanted to devote as much attention, to being a dad, being able to, sit in the stands and, really, enjoy that part of it. I started getting numerous calls, man, about, the Hall of Fame and, what they were going to be doing for, youth sports and, things like that. I, would ignore the calls, start taking the calls, say, no. This went on maybe over the course of maybe 6-7 months. And finally, just so they, would stop calling, I said, okay. And honestly glad that I did do it. People think, the Pro Football Hall of Fame, it's if you're a football player, growing up, you're, 99.9% of your goal is to go to the NFL. Well, if your goal is to go to the NFL, then you obviously want to be the best of the best, the elite of the elite, and one day be enshrined and, be called a gold jacket and, be up there and be enshrined into the Hall of Fame. That's what I've always pictured, the Hall of Fame being. I never knew about all the other aspects of it and, what they do for the youth. And, was fortunate enough to be hired as first it was a state director. Just running the state of Pennsylvania. That lasted all but maybe 45 days, if that, and, quickly became a regional director where I was in charge of, I believe it was 8 states, Pennsylvania, New York, West Virginia, Ohio, Illinois, Indiana, Wisconsin, Michigan. Yeah, 8. So, and, with that, there was 2 things, had to do. First was recruit kids between like 3rd grade and 11th/12th grade for our Pro Football Hall of Fame Academy that we would hold in July, in Canton, Tom Benson Stadium and the Hall of Fame Village complex. And what we did was, it was 3 days of extensive an education for these kids, but it wasn't run by your high school coaches or youth coaches. We had actual Hall of Famers there. Rod Woodson. Rod Woodson was somebody that was out there hands-on, with these kids. 2-time Super Bowl champion for the 49ers, Darryl Pollard. DP was out there. Former Philadelphia Eagle, Odell Jones was out there. Former Cleveland Brown general manager Ray Farmer. So we had a nice group of guys out there. Fred Barnett, former wide receiver for for the Eagles. So I could
stranger here, no stranger.
We were just talking about him before we went on the air because we both had the opportunity to interview Fred Barnett.
Both of us have kind of interviewed him within the last year or so, both on our own networks. Actually, I think he was just at the open practice this past Sunday too. So yeah, for Fresno stranger to A2D listeners or neither me or Phil.
Good. And being able growing up and don't want to take too much of your guys' time here, but growing up, going through middle school, and kids would ask, teachers would ask, hey, what'd you do this weekend? Well, I was at Eagle game. Oh, you watched the Eagle? No, I was I was down on the sidelines. But that didn't really mean too much to me because I knew who my uncle was, but didn't really, put that awe factor into it. And one day, my high school principal, middle school principal, found out, through conversation, and I told him, and it's like, hey, do you think you get your uncle, come in here and to speak to the kids? I'm like, I don't know, but that's when it really started dawning on me, like really who it was, because I grew up a football fan. Early on, I was a Chicago Bear fan, and not so much of my uncle, but the Super Bowl Shuffle album that came out. That and listen, I got an autographed copy of it. That was given to me, signed by everybody. It's in store.
Yeah, your favorite has to be Fridge, right?
Yeah. So then once my uncle went on to the Eagles, and living. Now that I know it's only about an hour and a half from Philly. I mean, when you're a kid, you don't really realize how close you are. But it's like, all right, Eagle fan. In this area, my area used to be all Eagles. Now it's more, Steelers and Ravens. But and it was awesome, man. I mean, just totally awesome. So, I grew up a fan, but taking that now to the Hall of Fame, being around, these guys that, Freddie Barnett, watching him, on TV, man, it's like, wow, I'm a fan, but here we are, co-workers. So, I got the opportunity that a lot of guys don't, or a lot of people don't, not necessarily guys, but, a lot of people don't, is I got to take the fan aspect of it and see what the person's really like. And at the end of the day,
it's funny you make that analogy, because like I kind of think of like it how like when I first got in the media, like it kind of just started kind of on a thing. I was a fan. I was talking on social media, and one of these guys was started one of these podcasts. Like, hey buddy, like let's do this. And then like my first like handful of events that I wound up covering mixed martial arts. Like it was just like when I like wait, I have to make this transition here. Like I love watching these guys. I love watching them compete, but I have to kind of make that objective kind of like we may be friends. We're cool. We have conversations, but the same thing, I have to cover the sport in an objective manner. Like I've gotten myself in trouble where people thought like we were friends, and I've interview their opponent, and they've gotten upset about like things I've said or whatever. Like I've had articles written about me. It's crazy. So like it's like one of these things we have to at some point like separate us as the fan and then be going into the job aspect of what we're trying to do. So like I think it's cool that you went from that part, like coming from the background, you went from your family, your experiences, and then that then now because of that gotten these jobs and these experience and this point where you're at now, and it's like, hey, like I gotta love these guys and everything like that, but it's like one of these things where here I am, and I have to be a business guy, and I have to be a professional with what I'm doing.
Well, and staying on like the particular Fred Barnett, getting to know, again, going from fan and getting to, know who the person really is. And, you understand that they're really no different than you and I. We put our pants on the same way, socks on, shoes on. They were fortunate enough to catch a break. And, that break made them a lot of money, got them on TV, and, they were able to fulfill their goals, their aspirations, their dreams. But, we would have time, where we would just, talk about life and growing up. And, once Fred found out not so much who I was, but, who the family was, then, Fred said, we're family. And, he's like, your uncle brought me in, drafted me in. He said, we're family, gave me his cell phone number. If I ever need anything, if I'm ever running a youth event or anything and need him, just give him a call. He said, I'll always be there for you. And that was the wow factor, because, anything I do, I don't go in purposely using who my family is, because I don't want based on what I do. I don't want what I do.
You want to make your own name for yourself,
right? Right.
Yeah.
But you want to blaze our own paths. We want to blaze our own paths, right?
You do come from a really, obviously famous football family, though.
Right.
So what's that like? I mean, I just picture in my mind. I'm an older guy. I grew up with the Buddy Ryan Eagles. That's where I started learning football. I always talk on my shows. I love trench football. The offensive line, the defensive line, tough, hard-nosed. I'm an older guy. We're all older guys in this room right now.
Absolutely.
Mustang checking in. My man Jason, older guy like us. We know that hard-nosed football. So in my mind, I just see a Thanksgiving, dinner with your uncle and your nephews and you sitting there. Like how does that dynamic work when you're all sitting around talking football or talking life and all, and all those big, I don't want to say the word egos, but those big personalities together. Like, what's that like growing up in that family?
It was, I grew up a football fan, but I was never, overwhelmed in it. I mean, I could really give two craps about what people were talking about football. I was more, growing up, honestly, I was a baseball guy.
Okay.
I loved baseball. I loved playing softball with my friends, and I played some football, but baseball was my forte. Baseball was my go-to sport. And, you know, I didn't coach high school football. I coached high school girls softball. That was like, you know, and, you know, helped out with the high school, you know, baseball. That was just my thing. So, you know, people assume because of who the family is, well, you know, you grew up, you know, baseball or I'm sorry, excuse me, you know, football. No, actually I didn't. I mean, yeah, you know, me and the friends who played football, you know, played some, you know, high school football, but you know, if I didn't play, it didn't break my heart. But every day I had to be out there on that baseball field, you know, whether it's for high school or, you know, during the summer, you know, just, you know, the neighborhood, you know, kids getting together. That was my thing. And, you know, to this day, you know, don't get me wrong. I love football, but I always gravitate, you know, towards the baseball, you know, side of it. I mean,
I'm actually like very similar because like knowledge wise, I know the ins and outs of football really well.
Yeah.
Talent wise, I could play basketball growing up better than anything, but all I wanted to do was play baseball.
Yeah.
I forgoed at playing every single sport growing up because all I wanted to do was play. I was terrible though. Like I absolutely stunk at baseball. But let me tell you, I did not play one, you know, organized sport other than baseball growing up because that was my passion. That was my love. You know, now I'm stuck talking football and basketball all the time on shows because that's where my knowledge is. But baseball is always the love right there. You know, I grew up with your dad, you know, Buddy Ryan, but I also grew up with Mike Schmidt. And all I wanted to do was be Mike Schmidt when I was growing up. I wore 20, you know, I played third base. That was all. It was all about Mike Schmidt. Yeah,
and you know, playing you know football. I mean, I was always a bigger kid, so I knew I was never going to be the running back. You know, it was never going to be the wide receiver. I mean, you know, we played pickup, football and stuff. You know, I'd get my chance to play quarterback, play wide receiver, and stuff like that. But once I put that bat in my hand and found out how hard I could hit that ball. My thing was, if I was having a bad day at school or a teacher just, ticked me off, I get out there on that diamond and, that ball's being thrown into me. I don't care if it's a baseball or softball, man. I'm not picturing that ball. I'm picturing whoever just ticked me off and, it's on. But, I just always, gravitated, towards that. So, played a little basketball, but again, that, was just for fun, but, baseball was always my thing.
So who was your guy in baseball growing up, man? Phil said Schmidt, and I'm also a Schmidt guy, dude. That definitely had love for him. Lefty McGraw, I love those teams. But who was your guy in baseball? Because there was also some great guys outside of the Philadelphia Phillies baseball, and I kind of have a feeling that yours is not just on the Philly side of things.
No, and to be honest with you, I mean like Schmidt, Schmidt was a hell of a third baseman. I mean, there's no denying that. But because of where I grew up, and if you could picture this, South Central PA. So geographically, I'm about an hour and a half to the west of Philadelphia. But I'm also about an hour, give or take, hour 15 minutes north of Baltimore. So while my area was big for the Philadelphia Eagles, it was also big for the Baltimore Orioles. Now, don't think I'm an Orioles fan because I'm not, no. But Cal Ripken, growing up as a kid,
everyone had massive love and massive respect for Cal. It didn't matter if you were in Philadelphia or whatever. Mustaines in here with a good one. Eric Davis from the Reds was a great guy from that era. He could run, he could hit, he could field.
Yeah, and again, I don't know if this was a nationwide thing or a regional thing, but our local convenience store, if you bought like a gallon of ice cream, you got this poster, and it was this poster of Cal Ripken Jr., life-size poster, and it had his measurables on. I think it went up to 6'4". I mean, I think he's I'm not up on it, but I think he was close to 6'4". So basically, and the headlines or the title of it said, "Drink your milk and see how you measure up to Cal Ripken Jr. So I had that in my room from the time I was a little kid up to the time, God, I think, was 18 or 19 by the time we moved out of that house, and I took it off the wall, rolled it up and, put it in storage. And, it was on that wall, so long that, the tape got old and it would start peeling off. You got to put, new tape on. But, Cal Ripken, was just a guy. But, I'm a lifelong Boston Red Sox fan. I love the Red Sox, man.
Oh, that's brutal.
My favorite stadium I've ever been into.
Roger Clemens, man. Roger Clemens. And back in, I want to say 80, maybe 88, 89. Don't hold me to the date, but I was a huge baseball card collector. And Mike Greenwell had a card that came out. And my dad would tell me, get these books, see how much your cards are worth and stuff like that. And, got looking through and, it's like this little card is now worth $15. I'm like, wow. So, I'm going to go buy more cards. And, you might get one that's worth a penny or whatever. But the most valuable card I ever got was that Billy Ripken card where it had the explanative on the bat. Now, unfortunately, I don't know whatever happened to that card. It might be in storage because I got thousands of them, in boxes, in storage. But that was one card, where I got it, and my dad might have even, had. I mean, I
could talk baseball cards with you for hours.
Yeah.
Oh man,
all the
I'm with
different cards
you.
I had when I was a kid.
How many cards we've lost? How many cards?
Oh my God.
How many cards we've lost? How many cards we've destroyed? Go back and think about it now, like goofing around as you were younger. Like, wow, why did I not like keep care of this and think about it? Like you're talking about, like hey, like and then I started looking up the prices. I'm like, shoot.
Yeah. And not just the base, like the ones you buy, like the Tops and the Donruss and stuff like that, but you go and buy your, box of cereal, you would get Post brand, cards. And not sure if you guys, remember them or saw them, but they used to sell baseball, I call them baseball card pins. And you used to get them in a pack. I think you would get like 3, pins, in the pack. Man, not only do I got baseball cards, I got baseball pins. Stickers that, used to come in them. I got so many of them stickers staged. First I would decorate the boxes with them, and when I couldn't decorate them no more, I just started saving the stickers. But old shoe boxes and the old boxes that the freeze pops and stuff will come in. I got, I don't know how many boxes full of baseball.
Oh man, I think we could do a whole show about that one day. We might want to come back one day and run it back and do it like a sports collectibles show and sit down and have some conversations about that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Want to get into some football with you, obviously. Yeah. One of the things I want to get your thoughts on, and I want to throw the poll question because I actually haven't got we haven't gotten a chance to.
We haven't even started the show yet.
I know, right?
We're live for 23 minutes, and we haven't even started the show.
All right, so I want to get people's thoughts. Everyone in the area is really high on Quez Watkins. And I want to thought is will he win the Eagles' number 2 spot before the end of the season? Are fans getting a little of that little early hype on him? I already hear people saying like he might be the Deshaun Jackson 2.0. But in reality, if this kid could actually develop like that, and you could put a guy like a Jalen Reagor on the inside or flip flop both of them around like that, and they can be productive. This offense could be pretty fun to watch this year. Yeah, and
I growing up and an Eagle fan, right now, with what I do in my career, I got to stay neutral because of representing athletes and things like that. But I will say my son's an Eagle fan. My son's allowed to have a favorite team. My wife's a Dallas Cowboy fan.
Get him off the show right now.
Right.
Salino.
So, but listen, I mean, I wish the best, for Philadelphia. I know they've had had a lot of highs and lows. Obviously, winning Super Bowl with the Philly, and that was well overdue.
I gotta ask this one. Like, I know everyone loves Philly. Philly is it's a great thing. That was a great thing. And like, we didn't win the Super Bowl with that. We won that with a Jake Elliott field goal and a Brandon Graham strip sack. Don't ever forget that. Nick did us a lot of things and kept us in that game. But without the Jake Elliott field goal and without Brandon Graham strip sack, we aren't having this conversation.
Oh, I totally agree, but it's going to go down in history as the Philly.
Yeah, I know. I know. We're stuck with Nick Foles for forever, literally.
Yeah, and listen, Nick's a great guy, and I know, fans, particularly from last season, and everything that went on with Carson Wentz, up to the time he was traded. And the whole quarterback, I guess you could say debacle, man. But
he is aces, Tom. He is a great guy. I'm not going to take that from him.
Yeah, it all depends what side of the fence you're on. Was it Doug Petersen? Was it Carson Wentz? Was it Howie?
Well, that's another question. Like we're asking now, and I see a lot of media outlets going out. We see the picture of Reich, Doug, and Carson down there in Indianapolis, and then they're all smiles and happy, and everything's hunky dory down there. And maybe it wasn't all Carson.
And again, I got to be careful with with how I phrase things. But when you're a quarterback and when you're a head coach, you're going to take the blame for everything that goes on.
Always. Always.
The quarterback, might, finish his day 7 out of 20, 7 out of 24. Does that mean he really missed, on 17 throws? Or, did the receivers drop 10? Did this happen? Did that happen? There's a lot of variables, that, come into play. Did the coach call the right plays? Did the coach call plays for the type of players that he has? It's a lot that really goes on there, that people are quick to blame Carson, you're quick to blame Doug or whoever the head coach is, but you got a 52-man roster there, and you have 11 players at each time, on each side, 11 on offense, 11 on defense, that are professional football players that are expected to do their jobs. I don't care if you're the third string, whatever. You're playing professional football. You know how to play professional football. You know what the play calling is. You know how to block. You know how to catch. You know how to tackle. You're expected to do your job. So, don't blame your season going down the toilet because we got second and third string players, being in there. If they were,
let's all be fair. The whole team quit at some point in time last season. At different points in time, regardless if it was early in the season and then come back later. Some guys who were there early quit later. Like it was really weird to watch from a lot of these guys. You even see a lot of the veterans where they weren't happy with how things were. Lane and them guys were voicing some things, but
obviously, when Randall and Buddy butted heads, and you got the Carson and Doug nowadays. Right. So every athlete and every coach says that they don't pay attention to the media, and the Philly media obviously has this reputation, especially the mainstream radio. I call them the dial, which we all on our different networks promote. Don't listen to the dial, listen to the great podcast.
Right.
That's my hashtag why I stopped listening to sports talk radio. But they say they don't listen to the media, but they have to listen to it a little bit and know what's going on. Does it really affect them, or do they really how does that feel knowing, like, even you, like, you turn on the radio and you hear somebody talking about your uncle in a negative light, or one of your cousins in a negative light? It has to play a factor into what's going on in your life, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, being a professional, you gotta know how to tune things out. But I don't care if you're a professional, a novice, or where you are. At the end of the day, you're human. And if somebody is, talking, bad about your show, and you might, tune it out, but it's still going to bother you a little bit. If somebody's talking, bad about me, about agency and stuff like that, at the end of the day, it's going to bother me to an extent, because my ultimate goal is to please everybody, but reality is you can't please everybody all the time. So I'm happy.
I have this motto when it comes to stuff like this. I don't let anyone outside of my inside circle have any weight on me. Like you're never gonna please everybody. It's never gonna happen. People are always gonna disagree with you. I just worry about what I can control. Like, you don't like what I do? Oh well.
No offense, Steve. It's a little different for me and you doing podcasts, versus Buddy or Rex or Rob. Listening to ESPN or WIP, call names and stuff like that, and they claim they don't listen, but obviously they have to hear what's being said outside.
And to that point, and that's because a lot of those bigger medias have direct lines to those guys, and they're sitting there in on the press conferences in the media room every day when these guys are in and out. So to your point, that's where it's kind of to a different level and into a different type of thing. But at the same time, we seen what Big Fletch did this past week. When you're done with it, you're done with it. And I've seen it in combat sports where when you're done with certain media members, you can just shut it down. Like, next.
Yeah. And that's the good thing about, a lot of these, players and coaches, they, post-game press conferences, you have to attend, or you risk the fine. But that doesn't mean you have to show respect. With
it's like the whole Marshawn Lynch thing. Next question. Next question.
Yeah. That, and we can even switch that over to the NBA. Russell Westbrook. Like, if there was something he didn't like, he would give you this look and, all but tell you, you're a dumb ASS. He didn't have to say it. His face told you that. And told you that was a dumb question. So, but, here, when you're an athlete, you're up here and, and the media, is kind of, considered, down here. And, the media wants to, most media would want to build a friendly relationship with these athletes and coaches and whoever, so they have access to ask their questions. You have some media that, their job is to just, hit on, these hard questions. And, the athletes have the right, to be selective with how they answer the questions and, who they answer to and be respectful to. So, if you're going to bash these guys, get to, understand what they're going through, on game day. Maybe something personal, happened in their personal life. Maybe grandma's real sick, or you just never know what a person's going through. I don't care if you're an athlete or if you're a regular Joe like us. You don't know what a person's going through. So until you fully understand that person, don't judge them. Criticize them. Yes, okay, they're a professional athlete. They're expected to perform on the field. We all get that. But at the end of the day, when we all go home, we're taking our shoes off, we're taking our socks off, we're all doing it similar. And we're all human. We make mistakes, we make people happy, we tick people off. We're human, at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So
now I want to get your thoughts on something too. Obviously being involved with the Hall of Fame in some fashion. Obviously it finally getting big HC and finally it seems like it's been forever.
Right.
Want to get your thoughts on that, and want to get your thoughts on who could possibly be one of these guys next who's probably been long overdue. Maybe some guy on your list who you think should be on there. Maybe you got a few of them on there.
Oh man. Well, one thing I will say, about the Hall of Fame is hopefully next year they extend the time a little bit for giving your speeches. We remember the Ray Lewis speech from a couple years ago, and I think Peyton Manning summarized that up in a funny way, saying Ray Lewis just finished giving his speech. 45 minutes, or whatever, giving a speech, we can hopefully agree, it's too long. But when you got somebody like Drew Petersen, who, I don't care if you're a Cowboy fan or not, at the end of the day, I'm a football fan. And Drew Petersen, long overdue, to summarize his career, being the original 88, for the Dallas Cowboys and everything he did, and giving him 6 minutes to summarize all that,
smack in the face.
Yeah, he really deserved 10, maybe 12 minutes, maybe a little more, but I think give these guys 10 to 12 minutes to summarize what all they've done. So, again, guys like Peyton Manning, we know Peyton is not a public speaker. He's not going to be up there forever. Giving these public speeches, and so Peyton's good. Give him 30 seconds, give him a minute. I think Peyton would have been good. Just going up to the stage, hey, thank you, good night, and that's it. But
we got to point to this name. He keeps bringing it up in the thing. When is Eric Allen going to make the Hall of Fame?
He's long overdue.
He is.
What if you're an Eagle fan, a Philadelphia fan, what hasn't Eric Allen done to deserve to be in there? There's so many guys, and it's hard to pick just one that guys that deserve to be in there. And granted, Peyton Manning, deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, but we got to get some of these older guys.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Like Eric Allen in there. Like, even if you expand I think they should have one of these things, like not only expand like the eligibility things, and you've done things like on the back end, like senior guys and things like that. I get that, but I also think like you should have some of these years where you expand, maybe you let 10 guys in. Yeah, and because again, I'm glad you brought up Eric Allen. You're going to have guys like Eric Allen that year after year are going to get overshadowed because players that are currently playing are recently retired, but they're eligible for the
and there's also there's some fringe guys that are, like you're talking about, like some of the new age guys. Like I would like to see somebody like Asante Samuel good in there too. Just how many interceptions that guy had, dude. He was like such a playmaker during that era, for the Patriots. His time here in Philadelphia, etc.
Right.
He's one of those guys.
Like they focus on the quarterback because the quarterback is the center, and I almost think to an extent, and I'm just spitfiring here, so don't ask me who, but some quarterbacks get in or are going to get in that maybe haven't been as, I don't want to say as great of a career as Eric Allen or other guys, but because they put up big numbers, now you bring up the current, crop of players, retiring. Like say Philip Rivers, he recently retired. Philip Rivers is going to get into the Hall of Fame, But if you look at, the apples to oranges position, quarterback to cornerback, did Philip Rivers really have a better career than Eric Allen?
Right.
No,
right.
in my opinion, no. So,
right.
But the quarterback will get in before the cornerback, and that's I think an issue as well.
I think I think one we need to say, and that absolutely has to happen soon, is Sam Mills. It has to happen.
Yeah, and maybe what the Hall could do, and maybe something like Major League Baseball does. You got to have so many percentage of the votes, or open it up to where maybe they let in, and now what I'm about to say is gonna leave you with a pretty extensive class, but 2 to 3 players per year at each position. Start cleaning out some of these older guys, because you get some of these guys former players up there on the stage that are being inducted, coming in wheelchairs, can barely walk, and barely alive, being up there, and it's still an accomplishment. But wouldn't they appreciate it a little bit more, maybe in their younger years, where they didn't need the help to get up there on stage? I mean, they're legends, and if it wasn't for the legends of the game, we wouldn't be watching the game that we watch right now. We need to honor the legends and honor the ones that paved the way. But looking at somebody that is going to be eligible here in the next couple of years, and a Philadelphia Eagle, former Philadelphia Eagle, but also somebody that's from South Central PA, Shady McCoy. Does Shady get in? Shady was.
I think the all-purpose yards, like he's had some memorable games, like everything like that. He may not get in the first few years, but I think he gets it. He gets in before somewhere between 5 to 10.
Yeah, and listen, when Shady was in Philly, one hell of a running back.
Absolutely.
Then Chip Kelly came.
I think we
can
can
imagine a guy we're debating.
We can all agree here.
On McCoy, whether he's in a Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
he got traded for Kiko Alonso.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm not taking anything away from Kiko. Kiko had one good year in Buffalo. He's a serviceable lineman. But you traded LaShawn McCoy.
Right.
I don't even want. No, stop talking about that.
Yeah. Well, that's like.
Sean's gonna cry because I'm with him.
Yeah. He never, regained. When he went to Buffalo, he wasn't, the running back that he was, in Philadelphia. Chip Kelly coming in, hurt him, and I personally believe, had he stayed in Philadelphia.
Chip Kelly just ruined that whole team. That's all I gotta say.
had Chip Kelly not, did what he did and got rid of them players, I firmly believe Philadelphia would have had that Super Bowl ring sooner than what they did. You had a hell of a team there, and not only did you get rid of Shady, you got rid of Deshaun. And it's like,
and it almost seemed like that. It's just Chip Kelly was trying to be smart, because LaShawn McCoy actually seemed, in my eyes, a better fit for Chip Kelly's system. He gets rid of LaShawn and brings in DeMarco Murray, who was a great running back in Dallas, but not a fit for Chip Kelly's offense.
Right.
Chip Kelly just was trying to be smarter than not just anybody in Philly, the entire NFL.
Well, and
he's not in the NFL anymore,
right? And going along, the whole DeMarco Murray, thing. Why would you try to make a north-south running back, turn him into an east-west? Why would you do that? Nothing against college coaches that come into the NFL, but that's like taking a youth level coach and telling them to coach high school. It's a little bit different than high school to college. It's different. What Chip Kelly did in at the collegiate level, out there was good. He did a good job out there. but it wasn't NFL good. You're not going to run them college systems, in the NFL. You're not going to take guys that, been, in the NFL and have Chip Kelly come in and say, well, we're going to do this. They're going to look at you, like, the hell are you talking about? And, that's what, was the beginning of the end. Once you lose start getting rid of these, good athletes and, start doing what you're doing, there was nothing that, else to do but, pack his bags for him. Like, it really wasn't. And, it's sad how it went down. Chip Kelly might have had that Super Bowl ring had he not, got rid of, basically everybody on that team.
He ruined that team. He ruined that era. That's all.
I don't know, according to Steve, or from Steve, how much more time we have with you. But before we go, I do have a burning question in my mind.
Yeah.
Okay, because you've scouted players, you run an agency, and you sign players and try to get them jobs.
Right.
So, current Eagle. I don't know if you're familiar with Jordan Mailata, the left tackle, who's from Australia. As a scout, if you go to a GM, okay, and be like, "Yo, I got this guy, never played a lick of football." But I think he'd make a great left. Like, what goes into as somebody that's evaluating talent from a distance and being like, "Yo, I think this guy is going to be a great football player," and it's something that has boggled my mind since the day. Like, I wrote him off before last year, and last year, he came out his third year. He turned out to be a great football player. Potentially with some really great talent. But as a scout or somebody that's evaluating talent, like, the thought process of A, finding that guy out of nowhere, but B, going to your bosses and being like, "Yo, this guy's the real deal." And if you give him some time, put him with one of the greatest line coaches of all time, Jeff Stoutland, you can make something here. What would your thought process be in that situation?
Man, that,
whoever found him should get an award for, most random find ever.
Right. And, honest to God, that is a tough sell. And I don't know if, not to downplay myself, but I don't know if I would have been able to sell that. There was trust there between the front office and that scout. Okay. And, maybe based off of, prior, work and, stuff like that. But, not every scout, you might be 1 out of 1,000 that's going to be able to, to sell that. And listen, I get happy, if I can, sell somebody that doesn't have film and, to get them a look. And that's only because of their size. Getting somebody, like this, and they're actually, in the league now, man, that's, kudos, seriously, kudos to everybody involved in that, even down to the agent, because, the agent has a big hand in that. There's a trust circle, between the scout, between the agent, between, the front office to be able, to get that done. That's not, again, I'm not saying I don't have confidence, in myself or my team or whatever, but,
it's a tough sell. It's a great term to use there. Absolutely.
The stars all aligned at the same time for that to work out. And, sometimes it happens, but so many other times it doesn't. And, it worked out. And, again,
I want to see him, like we brought up earlier in the show, Refrigerator Perry, you're a big Bears fan.
Oh my God.
I want to see Jordan Mailata take a handoff on 4th and 1 or on the goal line, because the guy, the only footage we saw of him before he was an Eagle was in rugby, running with the, I don't know what you call a rugby football. I don't know if it's called football or not. I don't know rugby, but I just want to see him running, on 4th and 1. I see Refrigerator Perry touchdown, written all over him.
Well, with, William Refrigerator Perry's touchdown, listen, I'm happy for him, the lineman, I'm a big guy, my son's a lineman, but darn it, we know that should have been Walter Payton's ball. That should have been Walter Payton's run in there. That should have been Sweetness, man, number 34, taking that ball in there.
I'll give you that for sure.
Definitely can't disagree with that. All right, yeah. I'm gonna do one more, and then we're gonna wrap it up. I know we're quite a bit over our time that we were gonna go with, buddy. We definitely got to bring him back here again sometime here in the future. Now I'm gonna go back off of what Phil's talking about. Want to get your things on Jordan. Now I want to get your thoughts on just Philly in general. We have been this town has been so bad at drafting. Like we do get these things where we get these hits on the back end and get great production out of these guys and they're overachievers, etc. But by God, do we often mess up the simplest things at times and overextend and try to think we're too smart on this, that, and the third. Like if you're on one of these guys outside looking in, what are some of the things you would sit there and say to this Eagles fan base about drafting moving forward? Considering we have a lot of draft capital and we need to make sure that we replenish a lot of these things, the mistakes that we made over the last handful of years here in Philadelphia.
Yeah, again, God, you guys put me on the spot here. I got to be careful with what I say because I might need to reach out to these teams, but it's ultimately up to the owner to put people in place that are good at drafting players, and the GM and stuff like that. It's up to the GM to have good scouts in place to properly scout these guys, go out to pro days of other scouting events, your pro scouts, your collegiate scouts, bless those, stuff like that. So you got to have good scouts. You got to have maybe not so much of the old school mentality. And if nobody knows what that old school, mentality is, you still got a lot of, old timers, we call them old timers that are still, working. Well, what happened, was done in the 80s and 90s doesn't really, transpire to what we do today. It's, at the end of the day, it's still football, but, technology's different. The types of players are different. Not, just because you're 6 foot or 6'1", doesn't mean, you're not a good lineman and stuff like that. And, you guys might understand, where I'm, going here, but, a lot of the old timers, you got to be certain height, certain weight, or we don't want you. And, so, maybe once that is, cleaned out, and I'm not singling one particular team out because it's league wide, but at the end of the day, for the fans to know, it starts at the ownership, and it's up to the owner to put the GM in place that's going to draft properly for the team, unless you're Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones takes care of all that. But whoever your GM is, if Jeffrey Lurie has the utmost faith, I'm sorry, in Howie, then it's up to Howie to make sure he has the best scouts in place that are going out and seeing all these players. Don't just single out one player. Don't just buy into one player. Look at everything that's out there and go for the best deal that's going to give you the most. And we've Philadelphia has lacked in certain areas past past years. So Philadelphia's tough. But here's the thing. I love Philadelphia.
Best city in the world.
Every time I drive, through Philly, it's like I belong there. I can adapt there. I love Philly. Philly fans are passionate, for all sports. And that's one of the reasons why I love Philly. What other stadium has ever had a jail cell in the basement?
No, I don't want to hear that. See, that brings up the negative, though. I don't want to hear the negative.
But that's passionate. When you throw snowballs at Santa Claus, that's telling
that's like one of my banned things. We don't talk about that on any of my shows because that reminds people that the one moment that happened in 1968 or whatever year it was. Yeah, we're still being held. I worked on a side tangent. I know we all got to go here. I worked on a cruise ship for 2 years. Yeah. Whenever I told people I was an Eagles fan from Philadelphia, that's the first thing that was brought up to me every time. People from all over the world. Oh, you're from the place where Santa got snowballs. I'm like,
but I tell people it's the passion. It's the passion. And if you've ever worked in Philly, played in Philly, are Philly fans assholes all day, all night? But they're the most passionate assholes you will ever meet, and I say that with the utmost respect. So, and Philly fans.
We're everyone's favorite assholes. Let's admit it. We're everyone's favorite assholes. Let's admit it.
Absolutely. But again, guys, seriously, I appreciate you, bringing me on. But whenever you want me on again, talk whatever, let me know.
I'm not like his boss. I'm not Mr. No Notes. I got notes. I got like a list of questions here that as we've been going on the show, I've been writing them. So my network, I'm going to be reaching out to you to have you on because I got about 7-8 more questions here. That if we had 3 more hours, we could go on.
Good. Let's do it, guys. But listen, seriously, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. I'm always available. I'll always be available to you guys. So wish you guys the best of luck with everything you're doing. The podcast and stuff. And let's all get together and speak again.
Definitely. Anything else? Like what I typically do is kind of throw it over to you, and anyone you would like to thank, you want to let the people know where to follow you on social media. Especially with some of the things you're working with. If you want to let people know where to connect with that as well, the time is yours, my friend.
Sure. So, as far as me personally, I'm on Facebook. I believe it's Real Buddy Walters. I'm on Twitter at Buddy Walters, BUDDYWALTERS. My company, Pro Level Sports Agency, is on Facebook. Under Pro Level Agents. Instagram and Twitter at Pro Level Agents. Any questions, anything, reach out. And if you're an athlete that's looking to make it to the next level, or want to get your film evaluated, or whatever, go to our website, www.prolevelagents.com, and on the front page there, submit your information, submit your film, and we'll gladly take a look. Coaches also, we our staff represent coaches as well. We do everything from arena, indoor football, Mexico, European, NFL, CFL. We had guys in the spring league. We got agent that does Major League Baseball, NBA, the whole 9 yards. So questions, reach out.
Definitely, man. Appreciate the time. Appreciate the love. We'll definitely do it again. And again, I'm sure Phil's definitely going to piggyback off it, and I definitely don't blame him for that. We'll definitely do it again here too, as well, my friend. Appreciate the time, man.
Thank Likewise. You so much. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Have a good one, brother. All right, that one was way over. We almost
what did you tell him, 20 minutes, and we went 58 minutes?
Yeah.
That was great. Dude, no lie. Like I said, I like to joke about Mr. No Notes. I got notes here, okay? And I've taken through the thing. I've got 1, 2, 3. I got like 9 different things I want to talk about that guy about. Dude, that was pretty cool. Buddy Ryan. I don't know, Steve, how old you are.
No, but, that was my team. That was my team.
That was my time. That was me growing up with football. So to hear, so many different stories to hear from him. It's pretty cool.
But we get a chance. Hopefully, maybe Audrea, maybe running a few minutes late, we can still talk some sports before we get some more guests on here.
Whatever, we got more to go here.
Oh, absolutely. Locked and loaded tonight. We got it jam packed. It's going to be fun. Now, what I want to talk. Obviously, we had to practice. Since the last time I've been on here, we had the preseason game. Quez Watkins is kind of the guy getting all the love right now. Obviously, some of the game film. I forget. Who the lineman was who basically like one hand threw a guy around. There was a lot of good that came out of that Pittsburgh game. Yeah, they lost. They were up. I think 13-0 when the guys in the game mattered. Mm-hmm. It's still a preseason game. It's still the Pittsburgh Steelers. I want to get your thoughts on it. I don't think we really got too much of a chance to kind of jump into it. But your thoughts on Quez on the poll question. What do you think that's going to be? You think that it's something that he's gonna live up to this, or is it doing the typical thing that the Philly fan does is get attached to the shiny object when it doesn't matter?
So hold on, put the poll question back up on the screen there for a second. I want to phrase my answer the right way here, okay? So can Quez Watkins take over the number 2 spot before the end of the season?
Yes.
I agree. Yes. He absolutely can. Will he? I don't know, but he definitely can. Because if you look at it, I'm not trying to take anything away from Jalen Reagor or Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith is going to be the number 1 wide receiver on this team, barring any injury, unforeseen circumstances. He's going to be the number 1 wide receiver on this team for the next 10 years. Devontae Smith is the real deal, in my opinion. He's going to be a superstar in this league, barring any outside things. But Jalen Reagor, he was a second, third round pick taken in the first round. Who else do we have? Travis Fulgham, a practice squatter. Artega Whiteside, somebody that could be cut off this team.
He's not going to be here. He's not going to be here.
Hightower probably won't be on this roster to start this season. So what's Quez Watkins' competition really to be the number 2 wide receiver? There really isn't much competition. So can he? Absolutely, because this team, there's still so many question marks at wide receiver. Yeah, everyone wants to talk about that 76-yard touchdown, catch he had. But it's not just that. Quez Watkins, he's not just fast. He's got strong hands. He understands the game, really well. He gets open. He runs really strong routes. So Quez Watkins can be a number 2, number 3 wide receiver on any football team in this league in the next year or two. So it's not just the Eagles. Quez Watkins has the talent to be there. He just needs a quarterback to get on the ball. Hopefully Jalen Hurts is that guy. And, he needs things to go right. You know what I mean? But I absolutely agree. I said on my last show that Quez Watkins may be starting as the number 2 wide receiver by week 3, not by the end of the season, by week 3.
I mean, I was giving it a berth because I don't want to get too early in the guy. Like, dude, we still haven't seen him in a real game, press coverage when things.
What he did the other night, he did that against the Cardinals. Was it the Cardinals game that he had? So it's not like that's something new. He did it against starting caliber players last year. His very minimal opportunities. It's just, over the long haul. And again, like I said, if you put him on another team with really talented wide receivers, he's not going to earn the number 2 spot right away. But he has the talent to do it on any team eventually. So I buy into the Quez Watkins hype 110%. And then again, like I said, with a wide receiver room that's as depleted or weak or soft as the Eagles are, he's already the second or third best wide receiver on this team.
I agree. And we're going to see what happens as we go through these next 2 preseason games and into the season. I agree with the fact that Devontae's the number 1. I don't think that, like I said, I don't think it's a bad thing having this problem with some of these younger ones. We don't. I think Hightower could be one of these guys on the outside side looking in because of what Quez is doing here. But I think what it is what everyone should be excited for is this team. This offense is built around the strengths of what you have here. What we had over the last few seasons was trying to make things work where it clearly wasn't working anymore. Guys who were either at the end of the rope or you're just trying to throw bubble gum over the hole in your pool or something. It just was never going to work. So what you have to say is I had them at around 6 to 8 wins is what I had them around this season. It could be anywhere around that. Healthiness is probably the key to what's going to be the big thing for this team. You have that easier schedule with being the last place team, so you're going to have some type of advantages there. History kind of has also proven that when you this Eagles team, when you have that bad one, they typically bounce back. Not just bounce back, but they bounce back strong. So you also have a new coaching staff. Is some of the things that you have to kind of play into, but you kind of like what you're seeing so far from a lot of the angles. I don't want to be overly high on this team, but I mean the big thing is will Miles kind of fix his woes? Running in between the tackles, catching the ball outside of the back. God, brother.
The key there is you bring up the word health, you bring up the team, you bring up Miles Sanders. That all revolves around one thing: the health of the offensive line and the success of the offensive line. All the problems last year Carson had issues last year mentally and with Doug Petersen, or maybe not, based off of the pictures we saw from Indy today and yesterday. But the question is, if the offensive line can stay healthy, then all of a sudden Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback. All of a sudden Miles Sanders is a better running back. All of a sudden, all the wide receivers are better if Jalen Hurts has time to go through his progressions and find the open receiver. So it's not the whole team health. The offensive line health is so critical because it opens up everything for everybody else on this team. Everything. It gives players time to develop. As Jason's saying with the youth, we have youth. Those youthful players need time to learn. A healthy offensive line is the key to everything.
Yeah, I mean, we have it. It's been one of the top 10 offensive lines in this league for
when healthy.
When healthy, obviously, but even when banged up, they still managed to keep it up there.
Last year they had 13 or 1,400 different offensive line configurations, and that's why there were some problems last year.
Yeah, but here's the thing, a lot of the younger guys have that experience now. One, you've lost at least 15 penalties a year with the fact that JP won't even be on this team in any way, shape, or form.
JP was not as bad at penalties as people think he was.
Love the bodyguard. Love what he's done here for his time here. Hall of Famer for sure. But it was 3 years too long. I promise you.
2. All right, we'll go 2.
You're being nice right now. Stop it, brother.
Hey, I believe in the power of positivity, my friend.
Oh, I'm positive. I still love them. I believe I still got like a Eagles like a kind of jersey hoodie of Peters somewhere laying around. And I got no disrespect for him. I'm like I said, Jordan Mailata's the guy. I would sit there if I'm them. I would find a trade partner for Dillon, fill another hole somewhere else.
It's easier said than done. Because the guy is, not performing. So you can't just trade somebody because you want to. You have to find a willing partner for that. And there is no willing partner for an Andre Dillon.
At the moment, give Camp a little bit of time. Wait for some injuries to happen.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
We'll see. We can agree
to disagree on that.
Exactly, brother. That's
what
the
name of the show or the network.
The network, exactly. Oh, you said Kenyon's hurt?
Yeah. Kenyon's hurt. He's injured now.
Does that matter?
It does. Because it means Jordan Howard's going to make the team now. And Jordan Howard should not be making this team. I actually thought there was a point in camp where I thought they might go with 5 running backs instead of 4. And then Ortega-Whiteside and Hightower would be cut from the team. But if Kenyon's hurt and he gets cut, you're going to go with 4 running backs, and Ortega-Whiteside's going to make the squad, which is going to disappoint a lot of people outside of me and my buddy George, who isn't tuning in tonight from across the pond. It's a little past his bedtime.
Oh man! Speaking of which, wait till we get Hans on. He's going to be up at 3:30.
George is one of my good followers, and I've become friends with, and all. He's in England, and he watches every one of my shows, and my shows are at 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock. And he stays up over in England to watch the shows. So he, like I, has faith that Ortega-Whiteside's making the Eagles squad.
Don't you wish that on us?
Don't
you wish that on us?
But why? Who's our big-bodied wide receiver? We don't have anyone. Who's going to get that tough 50-50 ball on first down?
They're going to go with the tight ends. I'm telling you, they're going to go with the tight ends.
They absolutely are, because Ertz is still here. But wide receiver-wise, who's going to take that out? I know everyone likes to crap on Alshon Jeffries, but you know what? There's nobody to replace him on this team. Ortega-Whiteside is that guy. And some people will say Travis Fulgham, but see, the thing is, Travis Fulgham had 4 good games last year. Travis Fulgham could not hang on. Aaron Rodgers could not make him look good. Matthew Stafford could not make him look good. 2 Hall of Fame level quarterbacks, one that's won a Super Bowl and multiple MVPs. So why all of a sudden does people think that Travis Fulgham is this great wide receiver? He's not. He's an okay wide receiver. He may have talent, he may not. But Howie Roseman has proven over time he is not willing to admit mistakes quickly. If he cuts Ortega-Whiteside right now, that's admitting a mistake. Travis Fulgham, Howie Roseman has 0 investment in Travis Fulgham. It's easier for him to justify cutting Travis Fulgham than Ortega-Whiteside. Now, I think both make the team, but I'm just trying to make a point that Howie Roseman's not just going to easily give away.
I think that might be I think that may be the hardest problem to pick for Nick Sirianni moving into the next few weeks. Do you not agree?
The wide
tight end 3?
No, I mean everybody's talking about that. What's his name? The quarterback, Tavarius Jackson or whatever. I still think that Zach Ertz, there's still a chance that he's not going to be here week 1. If at worst week 3, maybe. They're still trying to move him, in my opinion, and from what I've read. But he's playing well in camp. He's playing well in the preseason game. He did have 1 drop there. You can't pay Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert next year. So you still got to get rid of one of them. So obviously you're going to get rid of the older guy in Zach Ertz, and there's still value in Zach Ertz out there for playoff contending teams. So, most teams don't keep 3 tight ends on the active roster regularly. So we'll see how that works out.
Yeah, we will. I mean, like I said, it's one of the interesting ones. Loving what I'm seeing from parts of the defense so far. And anyone standing out now for you outside of the? I know we're both linemen guys, but let's go outside.
Zach McPherson. I mean,
we already knew that he was already the star coming into the preseason game. But
so Zach McPherson, I've talked about this on multiple shows. So any of your listeners that haven't watched any of my DSM shows, make sure you're following DSM Media on all social media platforms. Zach McPherson is benefiting so much from the Steven Nelson signing. And it's not just another voice to teach him and help him. It's the fact that there's no pressure on Zach McPherson now. Zach McPherson is now the 4th cornerback instead of being the 3rd cornerback on this team. Okay, so before you signed Steven Nelson, it was Darius Slay. It was Avonte Maddox playing out of position, as an outside cornerback. And it was Zach McPherson probably as your slot cornerback right from the get-go. You bring in Steven Nelson. Now Avonte goes to a more natural position in the slot / hybrid safety type role. And now Zach McPherson can learn. Zach McPherson, just like Quez Watkins, may actually be a starting cornerback now by week 3, 4, 5 because he has time to learn. He has time to develop. And then if Avonte Maddox he's an okay player. He's nothing great at this point in his career. There's a scenario in my mind where because Zach McPherson can develop slower and take his time, because of Steven Nelson, that Zach McPherson may be your starting outside cornerback by week 3, 4, 5. And then Steven Nelson slides into the slot, which he's very capable of playing. And then that backs up Avonte Maddox to doing what he's best at, which is that safety cornerback hybrid, in dime nickel positions where he can play on the line, he can play back, he could do whatever he wants to do. And so Steven Nelson, Zach McPherson, that signing / combination of growth, it's impressing me a lot.
I agree. I like what the possibility of that back end of that defense is going to be. I agree that Nelson is very beneficial to that whole secondary too. Not just the McPherson, but just in general gives them so much more things to kind of do in disguise and have some fun with him. You know, like you're saying, being able to have Avante kind of float around, in between and do what he does best. So that definitely gonna be fun watching that happen. See how it plays out over the season. And when we get in there against some of the meat and potatoes of the season,
Absolutely.
Now, what are your thoughts on the Phils now? Obviously hot, and
let me
then
switch from my Eagles hat to my Phillies hat here. I've got a hat for every team. I can put my Sixers hat on if you want me to. My college football Widener University hat if you want me to. You want me to go to a Phillies hat? All right. Let's switch to the Phillies here. My man Mustang Jason, he's right there with me. 3 weeks ago, we were both on board. Blow it up, change it. This team's not going to win. All right. We're in a weak division, so we have a chance at making the playoffs. We've made a nice run. Then obviously we came down to earth, losing to the Dodgers a bunch. We lost to the Reds last night. Obviously, everybody saw us losing the Zach Wheeler start last night and then winning the Matt Moore start. Everybody predicted that, I'm sure. This team, there's talent there. It's just a poorly built team with too many holes in certain positions. You got too many streaky hitters. You have too much reliability on third and fourth starting pitchers and guys that shouldn't be starting in the league. They couldn't give up on Vince Velasquez quick enough. There's a lot of issues with this team. But the NFC East is an awful baseball division. And by default, the Phillies still will probably win the division and make the playoffs, which is great experience for guys. There's a lot of guys on this team with zero to minimal experience in the playoffs. And playoff any sport is different than regular season in any sport. So getting playoff experience is huge for young guys and even guys like Nola who don't have experience, who's not a young guy anymore. So it's important. So, 3 months ago, 2 months ago, my bet that I made on FanDuel Sportsbook that Harper would have been MVP, that Zach Wheeler would win Cy Young, were washes. Now there's actually a chance. So I'm back engaged and excited.
Hey man, I wasn't quite blow the whole thing up, but I was just like, listen, if you got to move some guys, you may not really care to kind of make something happen moving forward. And I was more like, don't really mess with the chemistry of like what you have in the clubhouse, but also
what chemistry do you have? The team was terrible at that point.
Come on,
there is no chemistry. Look, I know Jason took a lot of heat for saying trade Harper, but I said the day they signed, Bryce Harper. Yay, we signed Bryce Harper. But on the flip side, if we're not winning in 5 years, he's going to want out of here. Nobody wants to be on a losing team. Okay? Yeah. The thing is, you don't have a minor league system to trade for the you needed 2 starting pitchers, not just one. You needed 2 bullpen pieces, not just one. You needed to move multiple guys. It wasn't like we don't like Bryce Harper. We don't love him as a Philly. It's just to rebuild the farm system, you got to change your assets. You only have so many assets. Harper is an asset. Zach Wheeler is an asset. So you kind of to take that next step forward, sometimes you got to take 2 steps back. And that's where that whole, there's a lot of beefs with me and Jason on Twitter because we both said, let's blow it up. It wasn't that we don't like what we got. It's just sometimes 1 step back, helps you take 2 steps forward sometimes. So that's where we were at. Nobody saw them winning 8 games in a row. Nobody can legally say that they thought they were going to win 8 games in a row there. So, it is what it is.
I agree. We're in a weak division. I had them kind of like just like kind of creeping in, getting a wild card. Thought the division would have been a little bit better. And that it wasn't. And hey, listen, they can get in there and get that experience, like you were saying, invaluable. Definitely invaluable for all involved.
Even Bryce Harper. How much playoff experience does Bryce Harper really have? Not much.
All I gotta say is, like, listen, to take advantage of what you got while it's there. You never know what could happen once you get in there. Things happen. The guys get hot. Obviously, like you said, coming back to earth, playing the Dodgers, things of that nature. All it is hoping to see what this team kind of mold into before the end of the year. Obviously, it hasn't been great. The Kapler era, left us thinking in a lot of guys' mouths, and both in the clubhouse and in the city. So, I mean, here we're getting into kind of year two of the Girardi stage here, and let's kind of see what he can kind of put together down the stretch and keep them into the NL East, the divisional lead, and see how it plays out. And
look, the Phillies aren't going to win a World Series this year. We all can agree on that. There's not one person out there that thinks the Phillies are going to win the World Series, right? So we just got to get experience. We got to groom what we've got as best we can at this moment, and hope that Middleton and company, the management of this team, spend some money, because there's nobody in the minor league system outside of Stott, maybe one or two other guys that are a little too young to come up. The only way this team's going to take a step forward is if Middleton opens up his checkbook and brings in some high-priced free agents. Trevor Story's a free agent. There's a whole bunch of high-priced free agents out there that you can go out and get. But that's the only way this team's going to take a step forward. The only way. You gain the experience this year, you spend some money in the offseason, and you build a better team for next year. 2-3 new starting pitchers, 2 or 3 new bullpen guys. When is Kingery back? Hopefully never. I'm pretty much off that bandwagon. Kingery's injury is probably the best thing that happened to him, because it took the pressure off of him finally. Because Kingery got hyped way too much, couldn't live up to those expectations, and we saw what happened to him.
Why does everyone have to sit there and go after these guys who are not really too?
There's a lot of hype put on Kingery. Kingery, his preseason or his spring training before he signed his big deal, was doing really great. Everybody put a lot of expectations on a young 21-year-old kid, 22, whatever he was at spring training. So, he had a lot of expectations put on him. He didn't live up to the hype. That was partly Kapler trying to change who he was. Just like Kapler tried to change Hoskins and everybody else. So I see somebody else saying Dominguez, there's a chance that he's back by September. That's as good as the trade. If Dominguez is back and even 90% of what he was before he got hurt, that's a huge boost for your bullpen. Huge. And then if we get to the playoffs, that's playoff experience for him. That's a huge there as well. But how much you can expect from a guy coming back from Tommy John surgery, that quickly, that's a question mark. But that's a big piece. Big piece right there. Him coming back healthy, not just this year, going forward.
Absolutely. Need Dominguez. That's
Anthony was this ball of fire that came up. It caught everybody by surprise. But as a lot of players happen, the arms, get overworked, and Tommy John surgery. Some players come back stronger from Tommy John surgery. Some don't. So we're going to hope that Sir Anthony, his elite talent, as Jason says, comes back from it and is actually better, when he comes back from that injury. So I don't want to rush him back, but, if we're going to make a pennant chase, a playoff chase, we're going to need him to come back, even if it's in small doses.
Whatever. Like, listen, when we get him back, it's one thing that'll kind of, I think, ease a lot of the fans, the team, etc. I think the moves they made as they weren't, even though they weren't splashes, it wasn't Kimbrel, what wasn't, any of these guys that moved around. I think back to 08 when we all were like, Joe Blanton. Why? Like, listen, we'll be all right. I think that I don't want to blow up and I've hearing guys throw Wheeler away to throw. I wouldn't want to do that just yet. Give it a few more years before you kind of give up. I know you were sitting there saying, we don't win 1 in 5. Harper. I don't think Harper will go anwehere. He
wants to win a World Series.
He does want to win a World Series, but he didn't want to win it in Washington. So we'll see. Obviously, and and D's bringing up a point here, and in the year before we got Stairs and Moyer, who were so crucial to that. So, like, we'll see what happens moving forward with what you got. Like I just said, get healthier, get a few more arms, get a little more consistency with the bat and what you're doing with the lineup and some of your utility players. You might have a World Series team within 3 years.
But Phillies fans don't want 3 years. The Phillies fans want now.
Of course we want now.
We
won it yesterday.
After the trade deadline, I'm not sure where we're at, but we were the 6th or 7th highest payroll in baseball to start this season. The 6th, 7th highest payroll in baseball isn't a let's see what happens in 3 years type team. The 6th, 7th highest payroll in baseball is a we're making the playoffs, not a are we. We are making the playoffs and how far we can go. And that's the problem.
Hey, man, listen, we'll see how.
I love my Phillies. Phillies are my love. I got a Phillies tattoo. Okay, that's my first tattoo I ever had. I'm not trying to be Mr. Negative Nancy or anything here. I'm Mr. Positivity. Okay, power of positivity.
On that,
realistic.
On that note, our final guest is here a few minutes early. Gonna change gears here, real fast. Gonna throw a little combat sports in here and. Appreciate the time this afternoon, this evening, or this AM if you're over in Holland. And my good friend Hans Petersen, how are we doing, my friend? How are we doing?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. Again, appreciate your time. I know. What is it? A 6-hour time difference between us?
Yeah, a little bit. 6 hours. So it's 3:30 in the night. So yeah. That's good.
Let me tell you something. I'm in bed for 3 hours by that point at a minimum.
All right. Well, first off, I want to give you a chance to kind of like introduce yourself to the listeners. Give everyone a little background how you got into combat sports, and and what brought you to Ragnarok, and why are we fighting on August 21st?
Okay, so I started in Brazil in 1998 with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That's how I started. Been keeping up ever since, competing, and So like. And my last competition in fighting was 2015 in Abu Dhabi. I lost the world championship there, and then I thought it was okay. I was good. I had already 3 European championships in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in Europe, competing also around the world, everywhere, and just having fun doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And then the COVID started. I got bored. And I was thinking, what else there is to do, So Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was impossible with all the rules. MMA, too much stress, too much people have to be involved, with the wrestling, the boxing, the Thai boxing, the whole thing. It's complicated. And then I was thinking bare knuckle fighting. That was like 3 rounds, 2 minutes. It seemed like a good idea at the time.
Yeah, man, it takes a special person to actually like kind of want to be bare knuckle. Like we've seen it, kind of develop over the last 3 to 5 years, kind of really taking off. Obviously, Stanley and them guys over there are bringing it there to Norway. And actually, not as only your debut, but you're getting a crack at a European title, I hear.
It can be a good win. First fight, European champion title.
So you said your last fight was 2015. Your professional fight was 2015.
Yeah.
So are you concerned at all about that seems like a long layoff to get back into a professional fight, and mentally, how do you prepare yourself, after that long of a layoff to get back into, going from jiu-jitsu to bare knuckle brawling? The mental in all sports, I always think the mental aspect is so intriguing to me. So
it's a good question, because the last But what happened was I have a very good friend of mine, Gekora Nyland. He has a MMA academy. It's like 1.5 hours from here, Haugesund. Have like top level good MMA guys, and so my friend he made it to the pros. So I was like his first teacher. So I talked to him about like maybe helping me out with this fight. You know, turning the tables around now. So I was his teacher. Now he became my teacher, and so we thought we could do a promo for him, trying to make him like get a name. You helping. So the television, the media took a little bit. They made a thing about it. You know. So. Yeah, they made an interview with me and him. He's going to help me in the corner for the bare knuckle fight, and we didn't have everything settled yet, but we were in the beginning of doing something like this, you know. So what happened is after the newspaper and the television came, he took a dive and took like a military dive, you know, when your hands are close to your body, and he dived. So he jumped straight into a rock and broke his back. Yeah, so he got paralyzed from the chest and down, so that was, yeah. So then I was like, okay. Took a couple of days to figure out what to do, and I decided to let's go through with it, you know, because before that everything wasn't settled yet. So I decided really to make him proud, and then it was a thing doing for him, doing for myself, and then a little bit back and forth, and I said, listen, let's we already posted it out, let's just go. So my emotion about this, that I've been training now for 4 months, 2 times a day. I've never been training more than this. So 4 months now, training every day. When I signed the contract with Stanley, it was like I didn't have any really contract about, you know, they sent me some fighters in the UK, like big guys, Pride of Scotland, all these enormous guys. I was like, shit, okay, but gotta do it, you know, you're a big guy, and let's go. But when Stanley called me, everything just felt in place, you know. There was a title fight, there was my opponent, like, okay, you know, it can go. And then the way he was, Stanley calling, you know, I already see him now. He's still working, you know. He don't rest.
No, he doesn't. I sometimes, like, I'll be messaging back and forth, and we'll be talking about some things. Like I'm looking at the time. I'm like, wait, do you sleep, man? Because I know it's late here and we're in a difference, but like sometimes like he doesn't stop, man. That them guys are continually going. And that's another thing I wanted to ask you. Like Ragnarok, what are your thoughts on not only the promotion, the name, but kind of like the whole setup that he's doing? It's kind of unique and cool, kind of and kind of a thing that kind of speaks to the European fan, the European crowd, don't you think?
You know, I never seen a response like this, you know, because in Norway there's a lot of rules, even with the knockout rules. You know, actually pro boxing just got just a couple of years ago with Cecilia Brækhus, that she made it legal. I think she was the one who made it legal because she was so big star, you know. And then we're talking about female boxing, you know. So she was the first professional boxing fight there was in Norway, was with the female, Cecilia. So, but they're still having a lot of rules. And so the way Stanley made it, you know, with all the obstacles, you know, with the COVID, changing the fighters from Saxons versus Vikings with Loki, like he just managed to find ways to make it very, I think the show, it's gonna be amazing, you know. It's gonna be with the Ragnarok, the Viking thing. Stanley, he nailed it. I think he just nailed this, you know. Bare knuckle fighting, Vikings, shit.
Yeah, and not only that, he's smart enough to piggyback off of you know. I hear some of the guys from the TV show are going to be intended for the fight if you know, all things permitting. Last I checked.
Yeah, I saw one guy that was coming, the guy from Games of Thrones, the guy with the sword and stuff. So
Michael,
he already confirmed him to come. So yeah.
I mean, it definitely sounds like it's got to be a fun event. You know, outside of the event, obviously, brought the whole thing, Vikings, Loki, stuff like that. Are you a fan of the whole Marvel thing? Obviously, that's becoming a big prevalent thing over the last 5 to 10 years.
Probably a little bit in the beginning. Then I was just like, okay, now I've seen this. Now it's too much. But like I'm from Stavanger, so we have like if you think about Vikings, this is the city, where the last battle of Norway, made all the kings together, so I live already in a historical Viking place. So all around me, I have Viking sites, so it's, I don't know, maybe it's just awakened something inside of me, maybe, you never know.
Hopefully, I know you're hoping it awakes something inside of you, especially, with what you're fighting for, everything your friends going through, the long layoff, everything like I'm pretty sure you're hoping this is kind of a perfect storm for a perfect evening, right?
I think so, win or lose. I think 99% of the world wouldn't even step in that ring, so I think I did my thing, 4 months of training, just doing everything that I possibly can. And it's 100-kilo guys fighting with just our fist. Anything can happen. So I just hope that I can stand as the winner, because, you don't know in these fights, it's one punch. So
actually it's interesting. Like I was thinking, like, I'm a guest on this show just like you. This is my first time guesting on this show as well, and I've never actually interviewed or spoken with any professional fighter and all, but something I've watched UFC and fighting since the inception, when it was still like unsanctioned and whatnot, and everybody talked poorly on it. I'm also a big professional wrestling fan growing up and stuff like that. So there's been a lot of, you say, who's going to step in the ring and all, there've been a lot of professional, the quote unquote fake wrestlers that have ventured into MMA and fighting and bare knuckle, all that kind of stuff and all. How do you feel about, guys like, I could throw like the big names, the CM Punks, the Jake Hagers, the Batista even, from Marvel movies, he even stepped into MMA fighting for a little while. How do you feel about those kind of guys, going from one end to the other?
Not well, you mentioned Batista. He got hit once and he never won the fight again. I'm just going to mention that.
I know. I saw it.
He's like, you know what? I think I want to act.
it always, I was always curious of an actual professional fighter's thoughts on those guys coming into what you do and have done your entire life.
The guys you mentioned, some of the names, the guys are used to training, they have some background. There is always some wrestling that, it's like the CM Punk guy, it didn't go too well for him. But that was just like
not go well for him at all. It didn't go well for most of them.
Yeah, that was. I think the guy.
But people also tend to forget there was a lot of successful ones that were having, and there and they a lot of cross sections between, wrestling entertainment and combat sports kind of crossover. Ken Shamrock was kind of the OG in that. He bounced back and forth. Brock was kind of the one that kind of brought it to the new age, and went on his run. There's some guys that have been moderately successful, but I think as a point now, like, it's all about what you're bringing. Win, lose or draw. If you're bringing positivity to both, MMA and combat sports, and even Hans here, he comes from particularly a jiu-jitsu background where it's all about a code of honor. Listen, at the end of the day, if the guy can compete and can do what needs to be done, listen, that's more eyes on me. That's why guys like Frank Mir stepped up and fight a guy like Brock Lesnar. They got a rematch because of it, because it's like, he knows, like, that's going to help my name. That's going to help build my brand. So
these big name brands, they come over and they bring more eyes. So I understand that aspect, but I've also read stories and articles that some fighters, professional fighters, are offended when these guys come over, and that's where I was kind of going at with it.
I think, well, some of these guys, they wouldn't go from the beginning, but
right.
They go straight for the top because of the name. So either it goes that way or the other way. It's the same with these YouTubers, these Jack Paul brothers, you know.
Jake Paul.
Absolutely.
But like, if you have a little bit talent and you spend so much money each week on the best trainers in the world, the best of everything, nutrition with physical trainers, the best boxers, the best facilities, and you're persistent and you train and train and train. Of course, you know, you're gonna you have to get somewhere, you know. But I don't know. Brock Lesnar, he was a national wrestler, wasn't he? From the
He was
beginning?
undefeated. Or I think he went
national champion. You're a top level wrestler, you know.
Yeah, Dana plucked him. If you got to think, you know, or Vince kind of plucked him. If you got to think, if somebody like if the UFC was bigger and was offering like the money that they were when Brock first got into it, you imagine that the type of guy he probably would have been.
Absolutely.
I mean, you have to think about that. I mean, as much as he had his downfalls, both personality and you know in cage and everything like that, he was still he still brought another level of excitement to the sport. It's the same thing, and you kind of look at it, you know, kind of Conor McGregor kind of picked off of that mold a little bit and added to what he was already doing, and he's kind of in the similar situation where may not be the greatest guy, all completely well-rounded as far as a combat sports professional martial artist, however you want to word it. He still puts fans in the stands, and that's kind of where we're going. And as you're talking about guys like Jake Paul, now Jake has come from the YouTube background, but you go and look at this event, you go look at what he's about to do with the fight he's doing with Woodley, and then you go and look, he put somebody like Amanda Serrano on that card. That's a smart move by a guy like that. Like, so as much as we want to tear apart things that he's done, he's given opportunities for people for himself, but also making sure that, like, I'm going to make sure I put some legitimacy into what I'm doing as well. Yeah, he's still at the end of the day having exhibitions. He said, I'm still waiting for the first real professional one. So we're going to see, right?
He's probably going to win the fight.
you think he's going to beat Woodley?
Yeah.
Too big? He's too big for him?
Too big, and he trains pure boxing. They're fighting a boxing match, and he's training.
Yeah, but you got I know Woodley he's known for the wrestler, but he was known for being a wrestler. I get that as an MMA guy, but he had an unbelievable right hand. So it's still different. It's still MMA. Oh, absolutely.
And boxing.
You have so much more to be able to block with your boxing gloves. I agree with that. It's a totally different thing. We're gonna see what happens. I'm definitely intrigued to see that matchup. I'm definitely intrigued to see your fight and everything with you, what you have going on with there for Ragnarok. Where can you let everyone know, like, where they're going to be able to kind of catch up with it, where to kind of tune in to kind of go? I'm going to kind of flash something up there as you're going to do it as well.
It's got to be that they can watch on Ragnarok TV, and then it's right there, pay-per-view, and there's a special price also now, so it's just to add it. Let's go.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to it. Definitely, interested when we see new promotions open up, especially with everything that Stanley and the guys are over there. They're coming up with. Going to be unique. What I typically do here at the end, I know I don't want to keep you too long. It's late over there. Kind of throw the proverbial microphone over to you, man. Anyone you would like to thank, shoot out, training partners, social media sites. Shoot out the any links for any charities you're working with. GoFundMe links for your buddy who's going through that situation for himself as well too.
Yeah. So guys, tune in the 21st of August, Ragnarok TV. It's going to be completely amazing. And Gekko, love you, bro. Hope you be there. And so I'm going to give all the support, and I hope you guys can give support back. Ragnarok, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be one tough night. So thanks a lot.
Well, thanks a lot for your time tonight, Hans. Appreciate you hanging in there with us and giving us a few minutes of your time tonight. Go get some rest, get some ready for this fight. If guys, again, make sure you're checking out the pay-per-view, checking out Ragnarok, and again, appreciate the time, my friend, and best of skill to you in the fight on the 21st, my friend.
Thank you very much.
Have a good one, brother.
Bye, guys.
All right.
Hey, I couldn't do what they do. I couldn't be in any combat sports. I don't have it in me to take a punch. Just gonna throw that out there.
Why is that, man? I mean, like, my thing, like, why I haven't, like, I've never took a fight or trained is like, dude, I just have so, like, dude, like, I've already had the complete shoulder surgery done. I've pinched nerve in the neck. I gotta have the shoulder have surgery done. I got a freaking torn bicep. Like, I have things that, like medically, why I can't do it. But
in college, I broke my leg pretty bad.
There's a good reason.
Basically, so since we're talking combat sports. If you think of what happened to Anderson Silva in the ring, that basically the same thing happened to me. My heel touched my kneecap in a football game. So, that aside, still, I don't think – I mean, I've always been intrigued by – it's actually funny because, he's a Brazilian jiu-jitsu. That's his specialty, and that's always what's intrigued me the most. And that's the one thing that I think I could get into and really, enjoy. And I've always wanted to learn it a little bit more. But again, this pretty face doesn't want to get punched. So,
my ugly mug. I don't care, man.
I was kidding. That was a joke. This is an ugly mug too. These are the two ugliest mugs you'll ever see on the podcast ever together.
I'm trying to get Audrea Cummings on here. I know, like, she got a mix up. She messaged me while we were on there with Hans. We'll see if we can get her on here on the last few minutes. I know we were going to try to talk some UFC, tonight. Big.
On. Let's close it out with a high note here.
What is this, Jamal Adams? What's that? Or is someone?
That's probably either a spam, a troll, a bot. Nothing to do with Jamal Adams. I don't know. Who knows? Who cares? Watkins, agree. Number 2 wide receiver spot by the end of the year. Absolutely agree.
Yeah, I think he can do it. We'll see what happens. I mean, I don't want to chime the guy on. You throwing your notes away now?
No, I actually that was for like TV purposes. I still got my note sheet right there, just so you know. I always keep an extra piece of scratch paper to throw away at the end of a show.
Yeah, well, I was running around, so I don't have it on, but wanted to kind of get.
She wants to join.
I gotta send her the link.
I actually did more research on Audrea than I did Hans. So I was prepared to just ask him if he's ever been called Hans Peter Gruber. That was my original question. That's the only question I had prepared for him. But I was able to get some questions out of what he had to say. But Audrea, I actually researched her before the show. So let's make sure we find a way to get her on here.
All right, I just resent her the link, so hopefully that should help. See, hopefully we get her here in a second. She's seen it.
Live shows on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. This is the way it goes. Some things go as planned, some things don't. So
go.
We get this to work here.
All right, she told me to hang on, so here we go.
While she's getting on, I'm going to plug DSM Media Tailgate at the Eagles Open Practice next Sunday, August 22nd. We're going to be live for 3 hours from the parking lot of the Link before the practice. We got 3 sets of tickets to the practice. We got Devontae Smith rookie jersey we're going to raffle off. We're going to be doing a live show for 3 hours. Anybody that stops by, we got free beer, we got free pizza, we got free everything. Stop on by. We're going to have a lot of fun at the DSM Media Eagles Tailgate at the Link parking lot, 4 o'clock on Sunday the 22nd. That's next week after the next preseason game. You got to stop by. It's going to be a blast.
Well, I'm going to stop by, that's for sure. But she's
anybody stops by, you can get on the air. We're going to do live interviews of everybody that's popping by. We're going to have a lot of fun. We got cornhole game. We got all different tailgate games going on. We're going to have a lot of fun. It's going to be probably the coolest thing I've ever done. So I'm super excited and pretty, pumped up.
Speaking of excited, we got her Here she is.
All right. See,
Our
I stalled for her for a minute so we can get her on the air.
I'm so sorry. Thank you.
It's all good.
Don't worry about it. It happens to be like you kind of get comfortable in the day, and it gets later on, and you just kind of space out. Like, oh crap, that much time went by.
Well, I thought the poster said like 9 p.m. and it was. I set my alarm for like 8:30, and anyway, and I'm on weight cut, and I'm exhausted, and
oh man, because I
hear a lot of excuses.
Oh man, here you go, Fluffy.
I've been waiting all day. I'm right here. I'm excited.
All right. So first and foremost, first time guest here. Got to give the family a little background, who you are, and kind of how did this whole thing come about? Because obviously you're not someone who we typically see in the combat sports world, bare knuckle boxing. Kind of put it together, like what brought you to bare knuckle boxing, and then I guess what brought you here to ATD Radio here tonight.
Well, I'm Audrea Cummings. I'm a 41-year-old mom of 4. Let's see if I could nutshell the story for you. I've been a personal trainer. I do virtual training and I do in-person training. I run boot camps, and then I was going Facebook Live so much that our local MMA gym owner reached out to me through Facebook, and I had never been to an MMA gym. I passed this one all the time, and every time I was at the red light, I would look over and be like, oh, that looks like so much fun, but I'm a mom. I'm a mom. I gotta make spaghetti, And so it was really funny. So he called me in. He says, if you do strength and conditioning, we run kickboxing classes here. I could use your help if you want to run some extra classes, plug in, see what it's about. So long story short, I ended up loving the place, loving the classes, and started doing my own strength and conditioning classes there. Then fighters started to hire me to do their strength and conditioning for upcoming, fights. I had never specifically coached combat sport athletes, so I had to do a ton of research to make sure I gave them what they needed. And then just to experience it myself, I did it with them. I kept a journal. I kept a notebook. We met up 3 times a week at 5 a.m. Fast forward, they fought. They both won. They both felt great about winning. Anyway, it was just get into it. It was so much fun. Well, I have done so many camps now, fight camps and meal prep, and have learned everything A to Z and have gone through it with them all the way through all kinds of different diets and weight cuts and water loading and all of that up to like the nitty gritty. Even one point, I asked my coach, I said, if I were to fight, what weight would you put me at? And at the time he said 115. I said, well, I'm going to try to cut to 115 just to see what it feels like. Got all the way down to 118, had 3 days until my fake fight, just to see if I could do it. And I did it. And I was like, you know what? The only thing I haven't done now is I haven't fought. So we started training a little bit more intensely, and more friends started to jump in and help and take me a little bit more seriously. I'd gone to a ton of local MMA events. Went to UFC Tampa when they were there a couple Octobers ago. Found my way to the after party, got to meet those people. It was so much fun. It was really exciting. But then my strike coach, one of my greatest friends ever, training partner, Brad Machine Gun Kelly, he takes care of me in this fight world. He took me to my first bare knuckle event. It was 2 years ago. They were in Bluxi, and I think Christine Ferreira was fighting Helen. And that was the first bare knuckle girl fight that I saw. And instantly I was like, oh, that's the one I want to do. That's it. That's the one that just like spoke to me. I was like, I think I can do that. Would you train me? Can we try that? And Brad was like, sure, let's start training. Oddly enough, he actually became a bare knuckle fighter, and I put him through his bare knuckle fight camp before I ever even got the opportunity. So then fast forward even further, bare knuckle goes to my hometown of Plant City, Florida. That's where I'm from, born and raised, right outside of Tampa. But it was my actual hometown, Plant City, like very random. And I was like, is this a sign? They're in my hometown? They can't be in my hometown without me. So I messaged Nate Shook, the matchmaker, and I said, hey, even if I've never had a fight before, would you still consider me as a serious candidate if I came to the tryouts? And he said, absolutely. And he gave me a rundown of what I would need to do, and I went. And a few weeks later, actually 2 months later, they offered me a fight back in March, which I gladly accepted. I was super excited about, but my opponent, unfortunately, couldn't do the bout. So there's this big misunderstanding. I was crushed. I was heartbroken. And then all summer, it's like, all right, when's that reschedule coming? And here we are.
and they did you no favors that another you're going up against a tough girl who's also making her debut. Crystal Pittman is going to be an absolutely barn burner of a fight. Look, you've talked about all the names that you have around herself. Obviously, she's got former Bellator fighter Doug Marshall in her corner. Definitely going to be an absolutely fun fight. Like for people who maybe haven't tuned in or anything, kind of give them a kind of rundown what they expected and how do you see the fight playing out in your head?
Oh man, I've played it out over and over and over and over. I'm still playing it out. We would all like to think of the like you said, the win or whatever.
Big W, that's all.
My coach, I work with a strength and conditioning coach. He lives in Australia. And his name is Luke Hobbs, and he does a very different kind of training. I don't know if you guys know who Luke is or not, or have seen any of his stuff, but it's a very ancient way of training. It's the most painful thing I've ever done in my entire life, and I trust Luke a lot. Brad and I both do the training with him, and he sent me a message this morning, and just the synopsis of it is, hey, everything we do in life is about training. He goes, I never focus on the win or the loss. He goes, if you go just to win, you miss out on everything that it's about, all the energy that comes with it. You are always training. You train, you live, that's it. And I was like, that sort of shifted things in my mind.
I'm kind of tweaked right now thinking of that phrase right now. I kind of just... I'm done with the interview. I just have to think about that phrase.
So I said, I will read that on repeat. Thank you so much. And so I guess when I think about the fight, I'm not focusing on the win or the outcome. Of course, that's the anxiety part of it. Like, what's the outcome going to be? But that's not the important thing. I've told everyone I've talked to, I'm not afraid to lose. I'm not afraid to get hurt. So what else is there to be afraid of? I just want to go out there. I want to see what I'm made of. I want to see what kind of athlete I am. I want to see how I am against a girl who definitely looks extremely savage and fierce with a great coach in her corner. And I want to just feel the experience, win or lose. I want to feel that experience. I definitely have some things in my mind that I've planned. We've worked on strategy. But really, everyone keeps telling me, by the way, now that we've drilled this for weeks on end and hours each day, just know when you get in there, all form's going to go out the window. Instinct's going to take over. None of this could happen at all.
It's bare knuckle boxing at the end of the day. And like I said, it's one of the things like you say, you guys drill things and you guys are going to go over X, Y, and Z. But sometimes it takes is that one that catches you once and it's like, all right, we're here. Let's bite down and let's throw down.
Yeah. I think they keep telling me, and this might be an old quote, a Mike Tyson quote, maybe everyone has a plan until they get hit in the face, So we'll see. I've done some pretty hard sparring. I've gotten hit a lot, and I've not gotten hit a lot. Have come so far. I'm really curious to see what my body does. You know what I mean? Like when you can just like black out and everything that takes over. What part is going to take over?
The fight when you're in the instinct mode, like how you perform is kind of what you're looking to. We all be in situations in life like, do I shut down? Do I go in fight or flight mode? Like how do I react in this situation? Like regardless of what we're talking about, combat sports or just in some aspects in life.
Right.
So, like, I guess that's kind of the journey you're getting ready to take here, August 21st. It's getting there.
August 20th.
Oh no! I just had Hans on. He's fighting in Holland on the 21st.
Oh, okay.
You're fighting in Bluxi on the 20th. We got bare knuckle boxing back to back days here in August. You definitely gotta they're gonna be on the WBKFC app. You're gonna be on the BKFC app. You guys are definitely cannot miss this fight. I mean, outside of yours, what fight are you looking forward to seeing on that card? Because Johnny Bedford and Easy over there is definitely got my attention to see how that title fight plays out.
Oh, tons of beasts and killers and people I completely admire and love watching the fight. But I'm going to tell you this, and this may or may not surprise you, but I really like Kane Tomlinson. He's just a man's man. He's just got like the biggest knuckles in real life. He's just if you just looked up man in the dictionary, you're going to see Kane. And so I really like that. I like the fact that he's older too, like 46 years old. I don't know if he's had a birthday or not, if he's 47 yet, but just and he's just, just caveman. That's what I like. So I can't wait to see Kane go at it.
All right. No, I know we're getting towards the end of ours. I know we typically have guys coming on right after us. I know it's kind of short. We kind of mix things up a little bit. Definitely want to get you back on here again in the future. Definitely want to wish you the best of skill coming August 20th. What I typically do here as the end is kind of throw the proverbial microphone over you. Anyone you would like to thank, training partners, teammates, shoot out your social media sites, sponsors, anything that you're doing, even outside of bare knuckle boxing, any charities you're working with or anything like that. The
greatest charity of all, who also ended up sponsoring me, is Women of the Carolina Fight Life. They are wonderful. They have a wonderful organization that helps girls and women all over. Okay, there we go. And then Gatwood Southern Homes here in Hattiesburg. They are always wonderful sponsors. They're always at the fights. They're great friends of mine. One of my great friends that runs St. Pete Med and Wellness Spa down in St. Pete, Florida. Fountain of Youth and anything you need down at St. Pete Wellness and Med Spa. Sparrow Ink Design. They did my logo, my Fight Like a Mother, because I'm a mother and a mother. And all my gym fam at Graham MMA here in Petal, Raphael down at ATT, my coach Luke Hobbs over in Australia, my training partner and my partner in crime who got me into all this, is responsible for my bad behavior, Brad Kelly, and then my friends and family, my 4 precious babies. Oh my gosh, I love them so much. Blake, CJ, Cody, and Trey. So here we are, and all the rest of you, you know who you are. You know who you are. I have a lot of people sending me wisdom, text, support, love, motivational videos. Stay in touch with me all day long. Keep me on track. I love all of you. Thank you so much. And thank you for this time. I apologize about the time.
Well, don't worry about it. Listen, live interviews, I'm so used to it. Like sometimes things happen. We mix things up. There's time zones. Life happens. Like I do it. I'm so used to it. There's nothing to apologize. We still got it in. We still made it happen. Appreciate the time. Best of skill. I'm definitely looking forward to you and Crystal throwing down. Appreciate the time. And have a good one. Enjoy the rest of your evening, my friend.
Thanks, guys. You too. Good night.
All right, everyone. That's Audrea Cummings. Definitely was a fun one. Definitely make sure you guys are tuning in. 2 hours. That went quick, bro.
I was a little concerned about 2 hours because I normally do an hour to an hour and 15 minutes. 2 hours.
And you're like, that was seamless. Wait, 2 hours, nothing, dude. Sometimes
hold on. Let me finish my drink.
Oh man!
All right, let's wrap it up.
Yeah, definitely fun one. Jam packed. Didn't have Zach here. Had Phil co-piling with me. Appreciate everyone's time tonight. Appreciate Buddy's time. Appreciate Hans. Definitely make sure you guys are checking out his social. Go check that GoFundMe. Make sure you're throwing that his fam some love in, and make sure. he can at least attempt to give him some relief, man. Being paralyzed is no joke, and that's a rough situation for anybody, especially with someone who you deem as family. Audrea, cannot wait for that fight. We had Crystal on Rachel's one of her round tables before. That fight is gonna be amazing. Make sure you guys have the BKFC app or the fight app. The WBKFF fight for Ragnarok as well. That's gonna be a fun event. Back to back nights. Listen, so much combat sports, and we didn't even talk about any UFC tonight. That's as crazy as that was. Me and Phil didn't really get a chance to get completely.
We didn't talk about anything tonight.
I know, man. Like it's hey, man. This way it goes. Sometimes 2 hours blinks, goes by.
Could have been a 4-hour show, no question.
Yeah, exactly. I keep telling you, it's nothing sometimes. And you're probably gonna be thinking when you're going down for the tailgate, like, how are we gonna? No, it's gonna be easy. It's gonna be seamless. It's gonna fly by. You're gonna be like, wait, that was
Media Tailgate, August 22nd at the link. Don't miss it.
Yeah, I'll definitely be there. And you guys are doing your thing. I'm going to give a last shout out to Manscaped, because I'm actually doing a giveaway on social this month. Last month I'm doing it. Anyone who used that 20% code off, screenshot me that you use it. I got some swag for you. I got some signed stuff. Like when we working out some things. I've gone to more than a handful of signings over the last few months.
I'm wearing my Manscaped boxers right now.
Oh, dude, I got it too. Yeah, dude, them boxes are the truth, man. Them boxes are the truth. You know they are, man. Soft as hell. So make sure you get it. Take advantage of the free shipping. A2D. Make sure you hit me up on social. Take a screenshot of it. Getting some extra swag on the back end. Buy a t-shirt, buy some boxes, but buy some stuff to clean up the boys and keep the missus happy. This was another.
Thank you.
This was another episode of the Weekly Roundup. I'm Steve. This is my good guest for the night, my man Phil. We will catch you guys on the rebound. I'll be back next Saturday. We should be back here with Mr. Burr. Other than that, we'll catch you guys on the rebound, and make sure you're at the practice on the 22nd. I'll be around with